And the point is that what we're placing value on, in Kantian values, is just human-centric. It's just some sort of, I'll pretend that the human fetus is more important, when there's no reason to believe it's more important. But just give it sacred rights. And that's what I would call Kantian ethics, is just sacred rights, not rights based on a foundational intrinsic mechanism. And Kant admitted this. He admitted his ethics they don't have a root. The root is human bigotry, the realness of that, the implications of that. And that's what I wanted people to think about, was the fact that if the other people are exact copies of you, and you know the exact implication of anything you do is going to hurt him, and he's thinking the same thing, anything I do is going to hurt him because he knows what I know, if you sort of understand what I'm saying. And so it's a significant thing to imagine having to interact with something you know to be equal to yourself, because none of our instinctive scheming works at all now, because none of this personal thing is rationally understood as personal. It's collective. There's just no doubt. You can't miss it. You can't miss that anytime you try to deflect something, he knows you just deflected it. He knows you just fucked him over. Because he's you, and he knows what you know. And he knows that, no, I'm not going to do that, because he knows me, and I know him. And I know we're both going to end up jumping in front of the car for each other, because we know it's the same as saving myself. The thing that makes it interesting is to start thinking about how many differences do I have to make in him before he becomes something I'll put in a concentration camp, torture, abuse, and then murder for food. How much different do I have to make him, where all of a sudden I lose all connection? And that's the thought experiment, or the provocative thought I was attempting to get to, is that's what we're doing here in playing this stupid game, is we're identifying things as different based on irrelevancy, based on things that have nothing to do with the important fact. The fact that what I know is important is my sensations. There's nothing else about me that's at all value respectable. And the feeling thing, that's the bit of the neurology that goes all the way back. I'm not better than a gorilla in that manner. I'm not better than the pig. I'm not better than the dog. I'm not better than the cat. I'm not better than the mouse in terms of my capacity to feel. And that's the fact that has huge implications. Human beings like to turn that meaning crude means superficial, and it's not superficial. It might be crude, but it's not superficial, and it's not insignificant. We're living in a duller world, not as intense a world as they're living in. So their suffering might be greater than our own. I don't think it's an argument based on any facts. So that was the purpose of the clone argument, and continues to be its function, is to allow you to understand that it is superficial differences that allows you to see torture and other things as irrelevant or meaningless or unsubstantial. And if you saw the other things as copies of yourself, as real players, then you'd realize, I can't justify it. I can't just talk it away. I can't just sweep it under the rug. So it's almost like an argument from the human fetus or something. You can make rational arguments that a human fetus is not more than a whale fetus. You can make arguments that it's not more than a gorilla fetus. And that at birth you could make arguments that it's much less than one of those creatures. Very rational arguments that a newborn gorilla is substantially more alive in terms of its consciousness than a newborn human, and certainly even a newborn gazelle, which has to be much more functional, much quicker.